All right, all right. Get a couple messages out here. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. We are just getting everything shared out. Our group all put together here. We will get started here. There we go. Excellent. Couple shares. All right, we've got a really interesting topic. I bring up all of our slides here. Get everything shared out. If we've got any news. We've got huge things happening with events as far as the whole week getting new additions here for the season. So definitely check those out as you are in the event module. We've got an interval session with our Australian group. Also launched our Australian ladies ride this week. It was pretty well received. It was we were looking at I think of 15 riders for our very first race. So definitely finding that early morning time zone for them. I think it's definitely going to be a good spot for them to be able to get those racers who are looking to race in that time zone. So got 2 more to go. We should be good to go. The group is looking great here. Just need to get a couple guys rounded up and we should be good to go. All right, so our topic today is about beet juice, and if you've ever taken it, if you've ever used it for performance, jump on. Let's hear what you have to say about it, and if it's worked for you, if it hasn't, if it just has given you rainbow pee, and that's pretty much about it. So, all right, I've got 1 more to go, and we are all set. And then I'll bring up our slides. Got a good mix of people in the feed zone today. We had about 15 or 20 in the pen, so that is definitely looking great. Looks like sound is up and running. Thank you very much for those helping us on the backside here. Just got off a workout today, and if you haven't caught, Team ODZ is also doing a great partnership event with Zwift Fitness. It's called the FTP Challenge for C and D riders. So if you haven't got a chance to check that out, definitely check that out. It is an 8-week series that is getting riders to ride at their potential to really harness and increase their FTP over time. Okay, let's get this going. I just need to pull up slides and we're good to go. Slide that over. And here we go. All right, I got presenter view. Here we go. All right, my name is Jason Flores. I go by JFlow here on Zwift. So if you see me on course, give me a ride on. I'll give you one back. All right, let's see. Some quick reminders, medical disclaimer that the only purpose of this live stream is to educate and to inform and not to substitute for any professional care by a doctor or any other qualified medical professional. And this live stream is provided on the understanding that it does not constitute medical or professional advice or services. The goals of this live stream today are simply to present current articles in the media covering food, hydration, and how it relates to endurance sports, as well as open a dialogue for viewers to ask questions, to get advice, to ask about their experiences. All right, let's get to the main meat and potatoes of our topic today. Like this guy. All right, so we're gonna be talking about beet juice, the science, the marketing. Is it good science? And kind of taking our own perspective on if, in fact, this is something that we should try. Some of the topics that we'll be covering today are beetroot juice and how they think about it. Let's see if we could stop this. how they think of it, and then actually the science behind bringing the beets and why we've chosen beets and why that is something that we should look into using over time here. And then we'll go a little deeper into where's the research at currently and how things are shaping up as far as, is the science good? Is it providing an actual benefit in what we do as far as cycling, and then how we could use it. We'll be moving on to the products, the juice, the concentrates, the powder, and that sort of thing, and how we could use that. And then the question is how much? How do we use it? How much? And that sort of thing. And then we'll put a summary. We'll tie it all together and see how we could use it here in the pain caves, as well as out there in the real world while we're putting the herd on our friends at the local group rides. All right, let's break it down to beetroot juice and how they think of it. So I'm gonna go a little bit slow on this part of it. It's a little bit sciencey, but I'll see if we could break it down. There's two main things we're gonna look at. Nitric oxide, which is abbreviated NO or nitrite, in the blood is involved with what is involved in the way that muscles produce energy. Real simply, kind of breaking it down. The more NO or nitric oxide that's in the blood, the more nitric oxide that's in the blood during exercise, it appears to reduce the amount of oxygen it takes to produce energy. That means that you're producing, let's say, your FTP or that sort of thing on a lower amount of oxygen, allowing you to do it for a longer amount of time. So this could definitely potentially improve exercise performance. All right, so currently the research has found that supplementing with nitrate, ATE, also called NO3, which is different than nitrite, it actually can be converted in the body into nitrite. So they tried different types of variations of this nitrate substance, and they found that nitrate actually could be converted into nitrite, which is the substance that we would like to have in order to make it so that we can use that and get that benefit that we were talking about earlier. So really funny thing is that the conversion of this nitrate to nitrite happens in the bacteria that live in your mouth. And the conversion goes like this. So nitrate that comes in from your green leafy vegetables, specifically higher number in things like essentially beetroots. It goes into our blood, where it's consumed, it goes into our blood. It actually is brought back to your mouth, broken down by bacteria in your mouth, converted into nitrite, and then back into the blood. And then what you'll find out later, and what you'll see, is that that is the reason why we need to take it so much more earlier than we would other supplements. Typically, anywhere for an hour or so before a workout, you would do this, but this is to the longer term, to about 2 or 3 hours moving forward. And so, again, going back to where do we get this nitrate? And so what we're looking at is beetroot being one of the most, and one of the best and most palatable options that we have to significantly increase blood nitrate, and therefore nitrite levels, of course, as we just explained. The amounts vary depending on where the beetroot's coming from, and then we'll talk about some different sources, like prepared sources of it. So the amount we're looking at is around 300 to 500 milliliters. That's about 1 to 2 cups for those that work in cups of beetroot juice. And that provides the amount of nitrate needed to increase their blood nitrite levels 2 to 3 hours after drinking. So that's something very important to note. And so the question is, the content that we find in different vegetables, whether it be green leafy vegetables all the way to these roots, all vegetables essentially have nitrate, but the question is how much. Essentially, it varies. So for something that's very exacting, or that we're looking for an exact amount, it's important for us to get a known quantity of this nitrate. So manufacturers have actually sprung up that are offering bottled beet juice and other concentrates that are allowing riders or sports performance uses that have a known content of the nitrate. So let's go back a little bit into where the research is at and what's that telling us. There have been many years, all the way back into the early 2000s, when they first found that it was very, very beneficial to have nitrates into our general diet. But moving into sports performance, the most early, or actually the most, pronounced study was done in 2011, where performance was improved around 2.7% compared to placebo. But this was a little bit of a shorter time trial. We're looking at a 4K and a 16K time trial, but definitely a good place to start. And they were able to put in double-blind placebo, which is one of the better versions of studies that we want to look for when we do look at studies. So it definitely at least gave a stepping stone to will it make a difference and how it would make a difference. So essentially the bottom line, or what came out of that study, is that participants were able to maintain higher amount of output for the same amount of oxygen consumed. So again, going back to the beginning, for example, if your FTP, let's say, was 250, you'd be able to hold that 250 for a longer period of time, allowing you to be able to do that for the end of a race, or save those energy stores to be able to do, let's say, an explosive movement at the end of a race, or that sort of thing. Let's see. So what we also found was that a one-off dose of beetroot juice in the studies may not improve performance in highly trained athletes. We're looking at high elite pro level athletes, because there are natural adaptations in the body that increase these nitric levels in the body just as we train. Very few of us, I would say, if you're a D, C, B, even most of us A riders are not at that pro level. If you're looking at the elite level, those guys that are at the top of our gaming world, and then the top of outside world, you'll find like Cat 1, 2, 3, you'll find those riders have less response to this sort of thing. So definitely something worth a try for most of us. But for them, it would take a much larger dose of this nitrate, and even up to a week to shift these nitrite levels out. So I'll come together at the end to figure out how we could all kind of use it in a way that would make sense. So essentially, the key to it is the blood nitrite level is the key to performance increases. So it's over time increasing this nitrite level, allowing riders to be able to use that and be more efficient at using that oxygen. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the products. So there's a couple things. It's suggested, of course, we talked about up to 500 milliliters of beetroot juice each day may lead to an increase in time taken to reach exhaustion. So you could do this a couple different ways. You could easily juice 3 to 5 beets per day, but if you've ever done any juicing, it's a pretty big mess. And to do this kind of on the road is difficult. At home, definitely something that you could supplement with. So a lot of sources, good sources, are powder and concentrated juices that are widely available. So that's something that you can reach to, and that is very useful. So that you can take it as in a pill form, you could take it in a powder form in a smoothie, and those are really good ways to get this in if we were going to do it daily. All right, so considering how much, one of the first studies used about 500 milliliters, or about 2 cups. And 2 cups of water is pretty large. You're looking at pint glass size of beet juice to drink every day. And so one of the drawbacks of this is that there could be digestive issues, meaning that you can get upset stomach, you can get, diarrhea, you can get this sort of thing. So it's a huge amount. So the data improvements are now showing that you can get performance improvements as low as 300 milliliters, which just puts it over a cup, if you want to do it that way, topping out at about 600 milliliters, but there's actually no benefit above that. So that's definitely important to know. Like, more is not better in this case. Getting that minimal effective dose is really important. All right. So in summary, beetroot juice may improve performance in athletes in varying situation. I mean, in elite athletes, it's important for us to know that we need to use beetroot juice possibly for several days in a row. But for us non-elite riders, for example, you could actually get a dose in about 300 milliliters to 500 milliliters 2 to 3 hours before, and it could give you that extra 1 or 2%. So definitely some good points here. So the question is how could we put this into our everyday use? So obviously we have a lot of metrics that we use to look at our wattage, our FTP, and that sort of thing. And so what you could try to do is actually put this into your daily routine, 300 milliliters just throughout the day. with your just with your food and every day's training days, off days, and you could see how you feel on your normal routine of workouts. For example, like a week of the FTP challenge includes like a VO2 max day, an SST day, possibly two if you're on a higher level, and then like some zone 2 work throughout a week. 1 week you would do that same sort of series without the beetroot juice. You could load up over a weekend and kind of continue that through the week and see how you feel, and if there's a difference in how you feel that your oxygen levels or your power level or even your energy level. It's more of a Zen type feeling, but definitely you should be able to see that you're more fresh at the end of, let's say, races. For example, along like 3 laps of London, for example, you would feel more fresh at the end of the race to be able to make some moves or to make some decisions on what you want to do. Or on a workout, you'll feel more at those end of the workout intervals. You'll find that you have a little bit more power, a little bit more punch than you're used to. So definitely something worth a try. So again, 300 to 500 milliliters if we're doing beetroot juice. You're looking at servings. I went a little bit into seeing how the servings would go, but it varies between each vendor. So what you're looking for is the amount that you would normally find in about 1 cup serving, or just over 1 cup serving of beetroot juice. That's the amount that you want to add in as far as powder. So you'll need to kind of look. It's sold in bulk. It's sold in capsules. So there's a lot of different ways you can easily add this to your like post-workout. If you're going to do it every day, 2 to 3 hours before a lot of our Zwift workouts is pretty tough unless you're doing midday work or up in the middle of the night for us ODZ riders. But definitely something worth a try. One thing's to remember. Don't do this on the day of a race. You want to do this in training. That's one of the great things about Zwift. You're able to test things out and see how they work before we get out into the real world. So let's see if we can jump over to social media, see if we have any questions. But Discord, I have a couple riders in Discord as well. If you have any questions there, I can help you. I can answer those also. If anyone has tried beet juice, would love to hear what you have to say about it if you've tried it. If we have any questions, but Discord, let's get there. Looks pretty good. All right, so let's see. Trying to think of anything else. All right, so I'm pretty good here. As far as our summary, we've gone over that. We've gone over a couple new things that are happening with Team ODZ. We've talked a little bit about the FTP challenge that's happening. Next week, I'm thinking about doing something a little bit about magnesium and how it's used, both sports performance on and off the bike. So definitely tune in for that. If you have any topics, definitely let me know. I'm more than happy to kind of explore those. But yeah, it's been a great run. We are 14 episodes in, and if you have any ideas, let me know. I'm more than happy to take a peek. All right, so with that, I will say my goodbyes, and I will see everybody on course. Have a good day.